I mean, I think that nuclear power has proven to be safe, okay, and something that we need to explore, but using the proper protections.
When we talk about power, we want to say all of the above. Yes for nuclear, yes for wind, yes for solar, yes for green power. You want to say yes. Nuclear has proven to be the safest, the cleanest, and not only do I not just sit back and say, oh, I'm just going to take their word for it. I've taken 2 tours myself of the plant. I've been in the cooling canals, in a boat in the cooling canals to see for myself. There needs to be an all of the above approach, because I don't think any one of us want to see some more offshore drilling right off the coast that's going to really, really endanger not just the coastal lines, but including the tourism industry, the great fiscal impact, and the environmental impact. So yes to nuclear, yes to wind, yes to solar, yes to all forms of energy, clean energy, alternative sources of fuels. So the answer would be yes to that and yes to all forms of energy. People cannot afford to have any more expensive sources of power, and nuclear is the cleanest, the safest, and the cheapest. So yes to that and all of the above. We must look at all forms of energy. Thank you.
I know that we are investing a great deal of money into the nuclear plant, and I, for one, am very concerned about it. I know that there has been some proof that there is an increase in the need for power, but with this humongous amount of money that is going to be invested into the nuclear plant, first of all, I would like to see FPL be less foolish with their investment of the money. They are right now trying to think of the immediate money gratification and not of the long-term goal. For example, when we're using purple water, they're not using purple water, and I wish that they would. The second thing is that I really think that if we were to use that money right now, if it were to be used for retrofitting homes instead of being used for the investment in the nuclear plant, I think that we would create so many more jobs, and that's where I would like to see the money going.
If I may just put a finer point on it. So do you think, though, that use of nuclear power should be curbed in South Florida?
I would like to see that money going towards retrofitting homes instead. I think we have a great deal of unemployment, and if we were to use all that money towards that, where we would do our windows, solar panels, creating a whole new industry of solar panels, and we were to do all that, that investment alone would put all those people back to work. That's where our investment needs to go, into a whole new industry. And in addition to that, let's talk about biofuels. Let's talk about a whole new agricultural industry. That's what we need to be talking about. Instead, we're investing in more nuclear. And I don't trust that FPL is necessarily doing all, batting all their eyes.
Well, FPL talks about the right tree in the right place. How about the right power source in the right place? And I think the main problem with the FPL and expanding the plant is the surrounding area is not what it used to be. There was another candidate as well as me down there at the nuclear regulatory hearing down in Homestead. I appeared with fellow mayors Lerner and Bruman, and we presented some different concerns to this. Now, they talked about 800 jobs being created by nuclear power. One of the things I found out, we raised an issue that they hadn't heard of before, and we talked about 800 jobs. We've all been working hard along here to basically make a more sustainable community. And I'm proud of my record on 2 things. One, trying to do proper infill development on US 1, and the second thing is the green corridor. And one of the things we've got to do is you don't need additional power plants if you can stretch and conserve that power. And there's 2 ways to do that. Number 1, let's make the lines more efficient so you don't have the power loss through the transmission. And number 2, let's stretch the capacity. And one of the things we've done, we've actually worked on this, the green corridor, which is going to create jobs. He's going to tell me to tighten up on it, but I want to finish up on the green corridor real quick because it's so important. It's going to create jobs, for people to retrofit. It's going to reduce the demand for additional power to build the station. But there's too many environmental issues down there, apart from the safety issues for nuclear power. So it's not the right place for that nuclear power plant.
2 points have been brought up, which are very good. Just now, about not the right place at the right time. I'm part of an effort of others in this room that are trying to stave off these expansions because Albert has written about it, Katie has written about it. There are just too many questions right now. So the first thing is that it seems to be that it's not the right place to do it. The second thing is, as it was brought up, look into alternative sources for the power and be able to compare. And there are many different ways, as it's already been expressed, of those alternative fuel sources. But above all, with all of this, is the idea that people are rushing into decisions before things can be thoroughly thought out. And that's the bottom line. We may have a question later, and I haven't had the 20 seconds yet, so I may be able to get this in, about the review of the CDMP, this plan that's coming up for review. It just doesn't make sense to me to do it right now when you know that the results of the 2010 census is coming up, and then we have a better idea of how many people we're dealing with.
As things stand now, your position on nuclear power?
Oh yeah, I promote it, but in the right place at the right time. And this expansion down at Turkey Point right now is not the right place.
And Gene and I were at the Nuclear Regulatory Commission's hearings in Homestead, and Gene did speak out along with the mayors against the power lines running up the US 1 corridor and through my neighborhood on 77th Avenue. Those power lines are in the wrong place. I was the only person who spoke from this race opposed to the power plants 6 and 7 completely. I'm not an opponent to nuclear power. I am an opponent to the way this issue has been foisted upon us. And I want to tell you, I strongly advise you to vote no on County Question 3. We need the chance to break the monopoly that FPL has on this county. It's simply wrong. We cannot trust, unfortunately, that the numbers about demand are correct, because whistleblowers have let the news media know from inside Florida Power and Light that what they're being forced to report is not true. There's one thing that really makes me question Florida Power and Light's effort with 6 and 7 more than anything else, and that is the help that I got from an awful lot of staff in building our greenhouse. More on the greenhouse at electalbert.com. We said, why would FPL want to help us build this house? It's all about not paying FPL so much money. They said, Albert, you don't understand. If everyone built like you, we'd never need to build another power plant. Now, I decided right then and there to remember what she said. We need to have a true cost-benefit analysis that says, if we're going to invest $30 billion of our own money in an asset that they're going to own, let's see if there's a way to spend it on ourselves, invest in ourselves instead.
All right. As specific as you can possibly be, what is your vision for energy production, use, and distribution in the county for the next, say, 50 years? We want to start, just to be fair, and come back?
Okay. Energy production should be preceded by energy savings. The lessons of our house is that you can do an awful lot by building differently. We did not pay any more to build our custom house than the average custom house in the area. Our energy bills are 75% lower than comparable houses. So our bill last month was $97 for a family of 5 with a pool and a home office. Last February, the bill was $35. We did it with methods that are actually easy to do right now.
Just, if I could interject, is this, when you talk about the greenhouse, though, we're talking about a vision for the entire county.
Yes.
Is this something that can be replicated
Oh,
over and
yes.
over and actually be common practice?
That's right. And here's what needs to happen. I just said it was easy to do, except for Miami-Dade County's permitting process. It took us a year and a half to build the house. It took us 7 years to permit it. And what we need, I usually pause for a moment after that 7 years, but I got to move right on. What we need is a way that the county, when you come in and want to do something great, the county rolls out a red carpet for you and says, we're going to give you concierge service because you're doing something good. Right now, our permitting process is set up to stop bad things, which is just what I was saying before about holding the line, right? Stop building in the wrong place, but make it easier to build in the right place. Make it easier to do infill. Make it easier to take neighborhoods like Princeton, Naranja, Gould in this district, which have these wonderful visions for walkable communities, and nothing's happened with them. We have to make it easier, once again, to innovate in building. It's natural for construction to be a very conservative endeavor. We have to help them create and innovate. That's where it's going to come in the built environment.
50 years is a long period of time, Matt. I would say, if it were so easy to do what Albert has done to his home, let's all look into it. I spoke with a gentleman that I met at a business meeting who is working on a theory that he's putting piping underneath the ground and into his home. The idea being that it's going to be cooled, natural air, underneath the ground and come in so he doesn't have to use air conditioning. There are probably many different alternatives that we can look into. I think that I think that the more that we can use natural sources, the better off we are, because there's probably less chance of a catastrophic situation. While it's true that nuclear can be very safe, while it's true that oil drilling can be very safe, all it takes is that one time, and then we're all going, oh my God, what were we thinking? So if we can go natural, it's better. One more thing as far as nuclear goes, thinking more on a global position, and that is that we've got a tremendous number of stockpiled nuclear weapons. And how wonderful it would be if we could turn those weapons into something that was making power and helping people instead of the threat of killing us. That's my position.
Well, over the next 50 years, again, we keep talking, it is a long time, we need to, it's amazing. The original oil embargo was 73, and we still haven't seen to change our habits. We need to change our habits. There's some tough decisions that need to be made. Some very tough decisions. And everybody's like, yeah, I'm all for, conserving. And then when they hear a lot of the things, let me just say, there's something called Easy Green, and that's going out and putting the brick in your toilet. That's changing all your light bulbs to the compact fluorescent bulb. And then you can say, well, I've really done it there. But you haven't. You need to make some serious future changes. Now, I'm proud of the fact that we've done some of that from where I'm from. We're building a municipal center that's platinum certified. What does that mean? That means 60% of the power is going to come from solar cell technology. We're working with people like Commissioner Sorensen's office and FIU. We're working on a phase 2 to that that's going to have a parking garage to encourage people to use the park and ride for the bus lanes. And you know what the great part of that is? Part of the plans include at least 2 plug-in stations for electric cars. We're talking to FIU about possible solar trolleys to get people back and forth to the bus lanes. We've created a green ordinance that has incentives. You want to build more, you can build more to the level that you build green. You've got some tough decisions. It means some more density in the right places. It means no more sprawl. But it's not going to be easy.
Mr. Flynn.
Thank you. Well, first of all, thank you for reminding me that in 50 years I'll be 93 years old. I think it's a wonderful question, and it is very important for us to think down the road. One of the things that I'd like to do as a community is to start investing in better jobs for our community, and more importantly, in green jobs. And one of the things that upsets me very much is when I hear of other communities in other areas getting federal funding for green jobs or for green initiatives that we're not getting. We are a donor state and a donor county. And, for example, in Fulton, Mississippi,